Once, in the heart of the old city of Lahore, there stood a grand Haveli whose walls held the whispers of centuries gone by. This was the home of Haji Ismail, a man whose very name commanded respect, causing people to lower their heads in reverence. Tales of his wealth echoed through every alley, but Haji Ismail was far more than a prosperous merchant. His true legacy was his heart, a heart that never tired of giving in the way of Allah. He had 3 daughters, Zainab, Aisha, and Fatima, each one the light of his eyes, yet each so different in her own way. Zainab, the eldest at 25, was a dreamer who chased her ambitions with quiet determination. Aisha, 22, had a gentle soul. She found peace in easing the pain of others. And Fatima, the youngest at 19, was full of life and mischief, turning every moment into a celebration. But on this day, Haji Ismail's face was clouded with sorrow. His hands trembled slightly. His breath came slow and labored, and a deep question lingered in his eyes. He knew he was counting the final days of his life, and a momentous decision weighed upon him. The future of his beloved daughters. In a voice soft yet steady, the elderly Haji Ismail spoke, his gaze resting tenderly on Zainab, Aisha, and Fatima. He was keenly aware that his journey in this world was nearing its end. With each sunrise, the light in his eyes grew dimmer. With each moonrise, his breaths grew shallower. Yet before departing, he wished to leave his daughters one final test, a trial that would shape their paths and reveal who they truly were when he was gone. Zainab stepped forward, confidence shining in her eyes. In a firm voice, she declared that whatever test their father set before them, she would pass it. His love and guidance had never allowed her to feel weak. No matter how difficult the challenge, she would prove herself. Aisha spoke more softly, her eyes lowered in humility. She admitted that with Abu's prayers supporting her, she would never give up. He had taught her to take every step in life with thought and care. Whatever this test might be, she would face it with all her heart. Fatima, bubbling with excitement, bounced a little on her toes. Curiosity danced across her face as she quickly asked what the test would involve. Would they have to complete some task? Hunt for hidden treasure? Learn something entirely new? She was impatient to know, for waiting was never her strong suit. Haji Ismail looked at his daughters with a gentle smile, but then his expression grew serious. Quietly, he said, "Here, take these." He placed a small velvet pouch in each of their hands, heavy not with gold alone, but with the weight of hope and responsibility. Inside each pouch was a modest amount of gold, an inheritance entrusted to them. They were free to use it as their hearts and minds guided them. What they chose to do with it would reveal their true character, their temperament, and the strength of their faith. In 1 month, he would ask for their accounting, and that accounting would decide the course of their lives. The 3 sisters lifted their pouches. Zainab stared at hers as if it were the key to her dreams, a fire of ambition burning within her. Aisha pressed hers close to her heart, as though it were a sacred trust. A profound peace filled her eyes that words could scarcely describe. Fatima tossed hers playfully in the air like a toy, her innocent smile enough to melt anyone's heart. Questions swirled in their eyes, restlessness stirred in their hearts. But Haji Ismail said nothing more. Slowly, he walked toward his room, his steps careful under the burden of age. The sisters stood watching him go, and in the quiet of the Haveli, a new story began, one that would uncover their secrets, test their hearts, and forever change their lives. A week passed, and the once silent Haveli echoed with the footsteps of the 3 daughters. Zainab sat in her room, gazing intently at the pouch of gold in her hands. Beside her lay a small notebook filled with sketches of her dreams. Beautiful clothes, sparkling jewelry, and a shop that would one day bear her name and bring her honor. A strange spark glowed in her eyes, a passion that kept her awake through the nights. Aisha, ever tender-hearted, sat beneath an old tamarind tree outside the mosque. She held her pouch close, gently feeling its weight with her eyes. Every day, she came to this spot, watching the people around her, some hungry, some ill, some lost in sorrow. She felt their pain deep in her own heart. And Fatima, the youngest and most spirited of the 3, sat in the small garden of the Haveli with her friends. Her pouch bounced playfully in her hands, and her laughter filled the air, making the garden come alive. Zainab, alone with her thoughts, spoke to herself with firm resolve. "This gold can change my life. Abu said to use it as I see fit. I will open a shop, selling beautiful clothes and fine things. People will come to know the name Zainab. I will build my own identity. This is my moment, and I will not let it slip away." Aisha, lost in quiet reflection, whispered to herself, Abu always said that true wealth travels from one heart to another. Perhaps a whole life is hidden within this gold. It could fill an empty stomach or bring healing to the sick. I will make sure it reaches those who have nothing. That will be my way. She nodded gently, a calm determination shining in her eyes. Fatima, brimming with excitement, turned to her friend Salma. Look, Salma, see how this gold sparkles, like stars in the sky. Imagine if we all came together and threw a grand celebration with it. Delicious food, music, dancing, everything. It would be so much fun. Even Abu would be happy. He always says that joy grows when it is shared. Each daughter had now chosen her path. Zainab turned her gold into the fuel for her dreams, a world where she could make her name everlasting. Aisha opened her heart wide, deciding that the gold should ease the suffering of others rather than remain in her own hands. And Fatima chose to spread happiness, a joyful gathering where every face would light up with smiles. But this was only the beginning. The ways of Allah are wondrous, some paths straight, some winding, some in sunlight, some in shade. Every path brings its own trial, and soon the true colors of their choices would be revealed. 2 weeks passed, and slowly, the name Zainab began to echo through the markets of Lahore. She had spent her gold on jewelry and fine fabrics, planning a small shop where she could display her dreams. One day, as she shopped in the bazaar, an old friend named Kamran approached her. He was a laborer whose life had been filled with hardship and toil. His face was heavy with grief, tears hidden in his eyes, and his voice carried a restlessness that touched Zainab's heart. But only for a moment. Kamran lived in a narrow alley near the market. His wife lay ill at home, and his little child had cried himself into exhaustion from hunger. His voice trembled as he stood before Zainab, helplessness clear upon his face. With pleading words, he explained that his wife desperately needed medicine, but he had no money. The doctor had warned that without quick treatment, she might not survive. His child had not eaten since morning and had fainted from weakness. He begged Zainab for just a little help, for the sake of Allah. Zainab paused briefly, but then the fire of her resolve returned. This gold was vital to her future. She was building a new life, a shop, a reputation, a dream she was determined to fulfill at any cost. In a cool, distant tone, she told him she could not help and suggested he ask someone else. Kamran looked at her one last time with fading hope. He stepped closer, reminding her of their childhood, how they had played together, and how she had once helped him up when he had fallen. But today, when he needed her most, Zainab tightened her grip on her bag without meeting his eyes. Her heart beat faster, perhaps a flicker of guilt stirred within her. Yet she walked away quickly, unwilling to let anything jeopardize her dreams. Behind her, Kamran's helpless gaze followed until she disappeared. Meanwhile, Aisha noticed an elderly woman whose eyes were filled with despair. She smiled softly and placed a piece of gold into the woman's palm, saying gently, "Use this to buy yourself something to eat." Her voice carried a quiet prayer, that Allah might grant the woman peace and ease her pain. Tears welled up in the old woman's eyes. In astonishment, she said, "But this is gold, a precious thing that could have been so useful to you. Why give it away?" Aisha replied with tenderness, "The truly precious thing is whatever brings benefit to someone in need. If this gold had stayed with me, it would have remained just a bundle gathering dust. But now it will become food, comfort, and relief for another. This was a gift from my Abu, and I am simply honoring what he taught me." Aisha's gold dwindled day by day. She came to the mosque every day, sometimes giving bread to a hungry child, sometimes money for medicine to an ailing elder. As the wealth slipped from her hands, a strange light grew upon her face, a radiant glow born from the gratitude of those she helped and the prayers they offered on her behalf. And Fatima, with her friends, was busy preparing a small celebration. Arrangements for food, preparations for songs, and a heartfelt intention to share joy freely. Flowers bloomed in the garden, and the air carried their sweet fragrance. But an unexpected guest was about to arrive at that gathering, one who would turn her world upside down. Fatima's celebration was truly splendid. A modest gathering had formed in the garden outside the Haveli. Lanterns cast a warm glow over everything, and people danced, laughed, and sang songs of happiness. Fatima was in the midst of her friends, her voice the loudest, her heart the most open. She had spent part of her gold on the feast, fresh bread, meat, sweets, and kept the rest safely in the pouch tied at her waist. Yet hidden in the crowd was a young man named Farouk, an old acquaintance of Fatima's. Farouk was the kind who dreamed big but shied away from hard work. When he caught sight of the gold in her hands, greed sparked in his eyes. He thought to himself, "This is my chance. This wealth could be mine." Greed had taken root in his heart. He whispered to himself that if he had that gold, his life would be set. He could open a shop in the market, wear fine clothes, and earn people's respect. Fatima still saw him as a friend, but to him, she was nothing more than an opportunity. She would never even suspect, he thought. Meanwhile, Fatima called out to him with laughter in her voice. "The celebration isn't complete without you. Come and see how much fun we're having. Food, dancing, laughter, everything." Farouk approached with a forced smile. "I'll be there in just a minute," he said. "I need to prepare something to make the party even grander." Slowly, he edged closer to her bag. His hand hovered over it, waiting for the right moment. That night, when the celebration ended and the guests returned home, silence fell over the garden. Only the faint light of the lanterns remained. Exhausted and happy, Fatima went to her room. Her eyes heavy with sleep, she placed the pouch beneath her pillow and drifted off, dreaming sweet dreams, of joy, of laughing with friends, of a world where every heart smiled. But when morning came and her eyes opened, the dream shattered. The pouch was gone. Beneath the pillow lay only empty space. Fatima searched her room frantically, every corner, every shelf, but found nothing. Farouk had vanished too, taking her gold with him. Cries of anguish echoed through the Havli, and Fatima's heart broke into pieces. Sobbing uncontrollably, she stammered through her tears, "My gold has been stolen. Farouk betrayed me." Between hiccups, she wondered what she would do now. This gold had been a gift from her Abu, a sacred trust. She felt so foolish, so naive. Haji Ismail slowly rose, his voice calm and steady. "Crying will change nothing," he said gently. "What has happened has happened. This was a lesson. Every moment in life is a test. Now we will see what Fatima learns from it and how she gathers herself." Fatima continued to weep, staring at her empty hands that had once held the gold. She had believed she was sharing happiness with her friends, but that happiness had turned into betrayal. Farouk was no friend. He was an enemy she had welcomed close to her heart. It was a harsh lesson, the difference between true friendship and deceit, between trust and betrayal. Yet more trials lay ahead, and this story was far from over. The scene shifts to the bustling markets of Lahore, where Zainab walks with arms full of silken fabrics and boxes of jewelry. A strange glow lights her face, but a faint restlessness lingers in her eyes. Then the view turns to Isha, standing outside the mosque. Around her gathers a crowd of grateful beggars and orphan children. Her pouch of gold is now almost empty. Finally, we see Fatima curled up on her bed, tear stains clear upon the pillow. The empty space beneath it serves as a cruel reminder of her loss. Zainab's shop was now ready. She had spent her gold on jewelry and clothing. In the heart of the market stood a small shop nestled right in the heart of the market, adorned with beautiful decorations and gleaming goods that brought her dreams to life. The first day was glorious. Customers came, shopped eagerly, and praised her work. Zainab's heart swelled with joy. It felt as though her dream was finally coming true, that she would bring honor to her father's name. But on the second day, before the morning sun had fully risen, a furious crowd gathered outside her shop. Stones in their hands, anger in their voices, and hatred in their eyes directed straight at Zainab. The mob erupted in shouts, accusing her of fraud. Someone yelled that her jewelry was fake, cheap metal sold in the name of gold. People were enraged, feeling their hard-earned money had been stolen. Zainab's face went pale, her voice trembling. She could not believe this was happening. She tried desperately to explain, insisting she had given only genuine gold, that these people were lying, that it was a conspiracy to ruin her name. A woman in the crowd shot back angrily, and the accusations poured in like a storm. Someone threatened to burn the shop down right then and there. Terrified, Zainab clasped her hands together, pleading for one last chance. She promised to investigate the matter herself, swearing it was all a terrible misunderstanding and that she had hidden nothing. But the crowd was in no mood to listen. Her voice was drowned out by their fury. With no answers left, Zainab fled to the supplier who had taken her gold. But his shop was empty. He had vanished in the cover of night, taking what remained of her gold with him. She had thought she was buying her dream, only to fall victim to deceit. Behind her, the mob began breaking down the shop's doors. Glass shattered across the ground, fabrics were torn, and in a single moment, Zainab's dreams lay in ruins. She returned to the Haveli carrying only shame in her hands and a burning question in her heart. Had she blinded her heart for the sake of her ambitions? Outside the mosque, Aisha now found herself surrounded by an ever-growing circle of poor children, beggars, and widows. From her bag, she drew out bread, clothing, and small coins, the very coins she had received in exchange for her gold, and distributed them freely. Her pouch was nearly empty now, yet a deep peace rested upon her face. Her hands were steady, not from the weight of giving, but from the contentment it brought. An innocent child gazed at her in wonder, silently asking why she gave so much when soon nothing would remain for herself. Aisha's eyes glistened with quiet emotion, but her smile never faded. She remembered her Abu's teaching. The one who gives receives far more in return, not in gold, but in the peace of the heart. For her, the sincere prayers of these innocent souls were the greatest wealth of all. A widow who had taken bread for her little daughter wept tears of gratitude. Her heartfelt du'as filled the air with a sacred purity. Aisha's gold was almost gone. Day after day she sat outside the mosque listening to people's sorrows and easing them with whatever she had. A hungry child, a sick elder, a weeping woman, for each she gave a piece of her gold. The wealth left her hands, but in its place came a strange strength in her heart, a peace that no worldly treasure could ever buy. And now, the month was drawing to a close. Haji Ismail called his 3 daughters to him. This was the moment when the truth of each would be revealed. In the grand hall of the Haveli, Haji Ismail sat in his chair, his breathing slow and labored. Before him stood his daughters, Zainab with her head bowed in shame, Fatima drowned in tears, and Aisha calm, a quiet serenity upon her face. The pouches were now only memories, yet they had uncovered the true nature of each daughter. Haji Ismail lifted his eyes and a heavy silence filled the hall. Though weak, his resolve remained firm. His gaze fell upon Zainab. Where had she invested her gold? Zainab trembled as she thought back. She had opened a shop with it, but was cheated. The gold turned out fake, the shop destroyed, and people now called her a thief. Then Haji Ismail remembered Kamran. He had begged for help. Tears streamed down Zainab's face. She had turned him away. Next, Fatima. Where had her gold gone? Fatima's tears would not stop. She had spent it on a celebration of joy, only for Farouk to betray her and steal what remained. Nothing was left. Finally, Haji Ismail looked at Aisha. What had she done with hers? Aisha remained calm. She had given every bit of it away to the poor. Nothing remained in her hands, yet her heart was full. Haji Ismail fell silent. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and then strength returned to his voice. He said, Zainab, you chose your dreams, but Kamran's wife passed away because help never reached her. Fatima, you chose trust and were robbed. Aisha, you chose the lesson of giving and received in return. Just then, there came a knock at the door. The Imam entered, carrying a pouch, followed by a group of the poor. He walked straight to Haji Ismail and offered the pouch. It was for Aisha, a gift of gratitude from those she had helped. Haji Ismail smiled gently. See, those who give are the ones who truly receive. That day the Haveli filled with tears. Zainab wept, haunted by the thought of Kamran's orphaned child. Fatima wept, for Farouk had fled. Aisha sat quietly beside her Abu, holding his hands. Haji Ismail embraced all 3. To Zainab he offered forgiveness, to Fatima courage, and to Aisha his heartfelt blessings. Then he closed his eyes once more, and peacefully departed this world. His lesson, however, lived on. This was the story of Haji Ismail and his daughters. A story that began with a small pouch of gold, and ended with a timeless truth. Zainab chose ambition and lost everything. Fatima chose trust and was betrayed. Aisha chose others and found true peace. Those who walk in the way of Allah never truly lose. Their gold resides in their hearts. What would you have done? Share your thoughts in the comments below.